Good afternoon, everyone. I've come again with the interesting topic out there that can be very relevant for your mains examination, especially in this UPSC examination out there. One of the major topics out there is MSP out there, sir. As you know, there has been a farmer protest right in the 2020 and 22 out there. So MSP itself is that theme that UPSC is very interested in. UPSC is very interested in out there. Repeatedly questions has been asked from this theme. Repeatedly questions has been asked, and you can see even PYQ out there. MSP has been a favorite topic for UPSC, especially when it comes to GS3 paper out. So again, we're going to discuss some of what's MSP, decode what it is, what are the problems associated with this, what are the solutions that a government wants to do. Again, what are the issues that's been facing by the farmers, and this can also be used in your essay examination, while second can also be used in your GS4 examination out there in ethics integrity. And of course, if you're coming from humanities background out here and your background and your optional is humanities space, you can even use that. It's a great topic, especially if you coming from a sociology background or economics background. It's one of the greatest topics out there. Very interesting. Let's dive into this. Let's dive into this and understand what's been going on with this issue as well. So as you all know, sir, as you all know, what's the definition of MSP? See, MSP is nothing but a minimum support price that's been offered by the government, and that's been announced on 25 crops. But on ground, it's been associated with the two crops as well. That's wheat and rice. Now, what's MSP? How it's calculated? What's the formula for that? Why it's been? What kind of expenditure it is for government? Is it a subsidy? Is it a good one or a bad one? Let's just brainstorm on this. Let's just brainstorm on this. Let's go ahead. Let's just brainstorm on this. For example, now if I talk about the MSP, it's nothing but a minimum support price. It's minimum support price. It's been minimum support price. What's a minimum support price? So minimum support price is nothing but it's over and above the market rate that's been offered by the government to the farmers. Over and above the market rate. Over and above the market rate. Over and above the market rate that's been offered by the government. That's been offered by the government to the farmers out there. To the farmers out there. Take an example. MSP has been announced for 25 crops out there. Officially, it's 23 crops. Two other are different: cotton and sugarcane. For sugarcane, FRP is same thing that's been announced. It's equivalent to MSP out there, but its names is different because again there has been a separate problems that's been associated with the sugarcane industry out there. We're going to discuss that in separate topic, but its name is fair FRP. That's fair and remunerative price. Fair and remunerative price. Remunerative price. That's been how it's been calculated. That's how it's been calculated. Vivek, hi. Hello, Vivek. That's how minimum support price is. Again, sir, you need to understand what kind of expenditure is this. What kind of expenditure is this? This is a kind of expenditure, you can call it revenue expenditure from the government side. Revenue expenditure. And remember, revenue expenditure is nothing. That sort of expenditure from the government which doesn't impact either liabilities, nor does it impact the assets out there. Take an example. For example, if government is spending, if a government obviously is spending on, say, for example, on repaying its loan out there, then of course it's reducing its liability. That's not a revenue expenditure. That's a capital expenditure. That's been impacting its assets and liabilities out there. But when I talk about revenue expenditure, it doesn't it doesn't impact asset as well as liability. Asset and liability out there. It doesn't impact asset and liability. It's a kind of that expenditure out there. It's been that expenditure. For example, take an example of if a government obviously pays, what pays? Salary to its government employees. Salary to its government employees. It's government employees. Then of course it's considered to be a revenue expenditure because it's not impacting assets as well as liabilities out there. It doesn't impact that. Okay. So it's a revenue expenditure. Whenever you talk about subsidies, it's a revenue expenditure. And trust me, it's a burden on taxpayer out there. When I talk about subsidy or revenue culture out there, that's been the term that's used in various newspapers out there, Hindu or Indian Express out there. But when you talk about subsidies, it's nothing but revenue expenditure out there. Revenue expenditure plus it's a burden on a taxpayer's money. It's a burden on a taxpayer's money. Burden on taxpayer money. Because look, it's not giving any sort of return, but it's kind of welfare mechanism that's been used from the taxpayers' money out there. So a lot of people again shows their discontent or disconnect or what you called a lot of people shows outrage towards this type of government because it's been exploiting their resources as well. The amount that could be used for the development of a nation, that could be used for the building up roads, infrastructure out there, but that amount has been using for welfare mechanism. That's called a revenue culture out there. And a lot of people, I guess, it's not happy or showing outrage over the social media for these types of government out there, especially for these. I hope you got this, that Arvind Kejriwal faced exceptionally or exorbitant amount of outrage from all the sort of people, all communities out there for doing this sort of freebies culture out there, for doing this kind of freebie culture out there. AAP leader. The term that's been used for this subsidy is called a revenue culture. That's been predominantly been using in the newspapers out there. Revenue culture. So I hope you got this. I hope you got this point, how it's been working. Now, of course, let's move on to the PPT, what we are saying. So it's first of all, it's a government compliance. MSP is a price. This can be used as the introduction of your question. Whenever a question comes for MSP and all these agriculture stuff, you can use this definition. MSP is the price at which the government procures crop from the farmers to prevent distressed sales and to provide support price. Support. Now, so let's dwell into how subsidies distort market. Virender Singh, UPSC. Hello, Virender. Now, the point is how subsidies distort market. That's very important. How subsidies distort market. Now, take an example for this. Officially, it's been announced for 25 crops, 23 and 2 other cotton and sugarcane. But on ground, it's only being paid on ground for majority of regions, only being paid for the wheat and rice out there. Now, if government is providing MSP only on wheat and rice, it will encourage farmers to grow only these two crops. Because, of course, if they're getting MSP on wheat and rice, why would they grow any other crop out there? They are getting a better than market price out there. They're getting a sort of subsidy from the government. Why would they grow any other crop out there when they can get an MSP over wheat and rice? It will lead to what we called overproduction. Overproduction of wheat and rice. And underproduction of other stuff. For example, horticulture, underproduction. Underproduction of horticulture, for example. Now think clearly for this. There's an overproduction of wheat and rice. Of course, government doesn't have that much of warehouses out there to store that. The Food Corporation of India acquires this wheat and rice from these farmers out there at the MSP price. They're gonna store at cover and plinth, cover and plinth, cover and plinth, and this is temporary phenomenon out there to cover the food grains out there. This lead to a lot of wastage of food out there. This lead to a lot of food wastage out there, and that's been even encouraged or even explicitly said by the WHO that cover and plinth system is not sufficient to I mean hold on that much amount of wheat and rice out there, that much amount of wheat and rice there. That's one issue. It leads to food wastage. It leads to food wastage and lot of resources wastage out there. Second, underproduction of horticulture. What it leads to? Lower supply of other crops. Lower supply of other crops. What it leads to? It will lead to shortage of these crops in the market. It will lead to shortage of crops in these market. That will eventually lead to inflation. Now look at, for example, take example of a maize. Now, if there will be a shortage of maize out there, or soya bean, of course it's gonna inflate because there is a limited supply of this, because they are not being produced at that regular pace at what wheat and rice are being produced. It will lead to increase in inflation. Again, small farmer, who is the producer, gonna buy this at market at higher price. So it's a trap. It's a vicious cycle for farmer out there. He doesn't gonna produce this. He's gonna produce that because he got MSP over this. It will lead to a shortage of these crops at the market. Eventually, these farmers will buy this product from the market at higher price. It's nothing but a vicious trap or vicious cycle out there. That's how it distorts market. That's how it distorts market out there. I hope you're clear with this. That's how it distorts market. Just look at this, all these stuff, and you'll get to know how it works. Just look at all this stuff and you'll get to know all this stuff. I hope you got these points. Again, sir, there has been a lot of things. Again, there has been a lot of other issues as well. The second issue with the subsidies, leakages. Now, as you all know that on fertilizer, subsidies has been issued by the government. So if example, urea, that is nothing but nitrogen out there, urea. The international price for urea is 20 rupees a kg. But it's been offered at subsidy to the farmers. At what rate? Rupees 5 rupees kg. Rupees 5 rupees a kg. Now this is the gap of 15 rupees. It will be paid by or borne by government. Gap of rupees 15. It will be borne by government out there. Done. It will be borne by government. Now take an example. If government, there are certain reasons. A shopkeeper has been told to provide urea to the farmers at the rate of 5 rupees. Don't worry, we'll pay you 15 rupees. Government says that. But he is a smart chap out there. He's a smart chap. What he'll do? He'll, of course, divert this urea to international markets. For example, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Divert this to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh out there. Again, sir, it's been diverting to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. He will get rupees 20. And he will say to government, look, I have given at rupees 5 to these farmers. No, he's lying about that. He's getting 20 from the international market plus 15 rupees from the government. So this leads to leakages and corruption. and corruption out there. This lead to leakages and corruption out. I hope you are versed with this concept out there. You are thorough with this concept, because that's how thing works. You need to know, you need to grasp the basics out there. You need to know what's the reasoning out there. Don't ever, trust me, when it comes to UPSC, don't ever rely to only PPTs out there. Don't ever rely. If you want to learn from something, say to the teacher to explain things clearly out there, to explain things, to give examples. Don't just depend on PPTs out there. It will not work for you in UPSC. Trust me, they are going to ask you very, very important or conceptual questions out there. That's only gonna help you. You're only gonna solve that by having a grasp over the concepts. Trust me. When it comes to economy, 15 questions are being asked in pre on an average. If you're not able to solve 10 to 11 perfectly out there, you're gone. You're not clearing prelims. That's it. That's how important economy is. Even in GS3, if you'll not score that well out there, again you're out of the list. Again you're out of the list. Okay, I hope you got this point. I hope you got this point. So again, the 2 points are very important for MSP. One, it leads to market distortion. You need to remember. One, it leads to market distortion, because it will eventually lead to a inflation out there that will lead to a vicious cycle for the even small farmer. Second, it leads to leakages. And corruption. Third, it's a revenue expenditure from the government part. That's underutilization or a inefficient utilization of taxation money. Revenue expenditure. Inefficient utilization of taxation money. Inefficient utilization of taxation money. I hope you got these points out there. Okay. These are the points you need to explain out there whenever they talk about or ask a question about the subsidies out there. These are certain 3 points that you need to be asked. Again, add on to these points, add case study, add examples that can be, of course, extracted from newspaper reading or any other magazine. If you are considering that, extract that. It's gonna help you out there. It's limited points, 5 points with statistics and 1 case study. You're good to go for this. You're good to go, because you only get 7 to 8 minutes out there to write a perfect answer. That will suffice. Out there. Okay. Now let's go on to the next topic, that how we calculate MSP, or how government will calculate, or how government is going to calculate MSP. Calculation of MSP. Calculation of minimum support price. So there is thing that, of course, there's formula that's been given by the finance minister of a nation, and we're going to discuss that. So again, if a government offers certain price to a product out there, it's been considering 2-3 things. First is A2. It's nothing, it's just symbolic out there. The cost incurred by the farmers, that has to be repaid. So the cost incurred by the farmers. Cost incurred, cost borne by the farmers. Cost borne by the farmer. Cost borne by the farmer. The first of all, the cost borne by the farmer. Second is FL. FL is nothing but labor. For example, if someone is coming to a home, he has done certain things, you pay him a labor out there. Wages, what we call a dihadi out there. So again, it's been the cost paid to the labor. Cost paid cost or labor cost, I would say. Labor wages. labor wages. There's another term called C. Don't go into the transcription, but farmers say, okay, say suppose a farmer is working in his own land. Probably what if he would have taken a land on a rent, he would have paid what we call as a rental income out there. So again, there has to be imputed rental income that needs to be paid because they're working on their land. That's a rent foregone out there. They want a premium over their imputed rental foregone, imputed rental cost. But at this moment, this has not been included. Of course, that has been demanded by the farmers out there. That's been the major reason, one of the major reasons out there for the 2020 and 2022 farmers protest out there. But this has not been, till now, this has not been included. Only this two stuff has been included. And what's MSP? Over and above this, 50%. That's A2 plus FL plus 50% over this. A2 plus FL. A2 plus FL. That's being called as MSP. That's how you calculate MSP out there. That's how we calculate MSP out there. That's how you calculate MSP out there. Okay, sir. That's how we calculate MSP out there. I hope you got how we calculate MSP out there in the market. I hope you got how we calculate MSP out there in the market. Okay, sir. Okay. Let's move on to PPT. Again, the market stability, it ensures that if you're coming with the MSP back out there, market stability, it ensures that farmers get a fair return on the investment in agriculture. It's nothing but a welfare mechanism out there. It's nothing but a welfare mechanism out there. Welfare mechanism out there. It's a welfare mechanism out there. The third, key crops. MSP applicable to the major agriculture commodities such as wheat, rice, and sugarcane, all of these stuff. For sugarcane, it's FRP, that is fair and remunerative prices. Fair and remunerative price. Fair and remunerative price. I hope you got these points. I hope you got these points out there. I hope you got these points. Okay. If it comes to MSP, that's how it thinks. First, it's a government compliance. Government has given guarantee. Again, it's not legally backed out there. It's not legally backed. There is no law that obviously forces government to provide MSP at regular intervals. It's just a will of government to do a socialist, to do a sort of socialism out there or a welfare mechanism out there. It's not a burden on the government. It can withdraw at any moment it wants. But that's the issue with the farmers out there. They want a legal backing. They want a legal backing against this. They want a legal backing, and that's another one of the issues that why government or there has been a tussle that's been going on between the farmer organization and government over a long period of time. I hope you got this. I hope you got this point out there. I hope you got this point. Okay. So market stability, it ensures farmer get a return on their investment in agriculture. For key crops, again, we have told officially it's for 25 crops out there. Who recommends MSP out there? That is CACP, Commission of Agriculture Costs and Prices. That's under Ministry of Agriculture. That's under Ministry of Agriculture out there. Ministry of Agri. Okay. That's under Ministry of Agri out there. Aju Gujarat. Hello. Good afternoon, Aju. Let's move on to the next thing. What's farmers' perspective of MSP legalization? Again, as I've told, that farmers, they have been protesting this for a while. They want a legal backing. They want a legalized law that legalizes MSP, that makes that statutory out there. So what's they demanding? They're demanding income security. See, agriculture is a very tough profession out there, if not a professional job out there, because it's a lot of people. Het Maru. Hi, Het Maru. So again, agriculture is a sport. It's as a profession, it's a very tough job. It's a very seasonal thing. If you're coming from an agriculture background out there, you must have seen the income is not regular on a regular basis. You are completely too much extent or dependent upon the monsoon out there. Too much dependent on the monsoon out there. Sirmani Kumar, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. You're a bit dependent on, of course, monsoon out there. Now with the climate change, it has become even more volatile. Agriculture, even with the climate change, it has become more volatile. So in respect to that, government, what farmers are demanding the legalization of MSP. Farmers are demanding the legalization of MSP because they want income security, sir. They are demanding income security. Everyone wants an income security. Why you're preparing for UPSC and all these government examinations out there? It's because of security out there. Why you're not preparing for any other exam, for CAT and MBA, all these stuff? Because you are looking for security. Be it less income, don't worry, but we want a secure future. We want a secure future. We want a mental peace out there. We want a mental peace out there. Why government is giving MSP? So government, what's your name? Okay, Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Ashish Kumar, why government is giving MSP? The first is a welfare mechanism out there. Socialism, it has to follow because of the vote bank politics out there. Can't directly back off from the MSP or subsidy part because vote bank will affect, especially the farmers of Punjab and Haryana side, North Indian side. It will again damper your vote bank politics. So no government can withdraw subsidies at once. Take an example of reservation out there. Government can't take back the reservation out there because otherwise it will impact their vote bank politics. How are you going to win elections out there? No one cares about the government. No one cares about the country. The political parties only care about the vote bank politics. They want to come in power again. That's how the reason is. Again, there is to some extent because in constitution we have socialism as well. That's been there in the preamble as well. So we are following that. Even in the DPSP's directive principle of state policy, there has been article that says that to help out farmers and do all these stuff out there. So obviously these are certain things. Okay, I want to become an IAS officer, Sirmani Kumar. All the best, Sirmani. Hope God fulfill your wishes out there. Why government is not giving MSP? Government is giving MSP, but again, it's been giving only on majorly. It announced for 25 crops, but it's been given only for 2 crops out there. That's been wheat and rice out there on ground. Otherwise, it's been announced for 25 crops, including sugarcane, for which we called as a FRP, fair and remunerative price out there. Okay. I hope you got these points. I hope you're clear with this. Again, the government, the farmers want income security, and they view the movement. That's again a movement out there, and they have been trying to persuade government to make it a legal backing system. Because again, there has been a trust deficit between the farmers and the government. Farmers doesn't trust government doesn't want to legalize that. Okay, so that's a tussle that's been going on even from 2020 out there. Let's move on to the next slide. Arguments for MSP legalization. Why you want to? Okay, let's give me a certain points. Why we want to legalize MSP out there? First, again, it will ensure income security. It will lead to a farmer empowerment and sustainable farming. Advocates argue that MSP legalization would promote sustainable agriculture practices. MSP would promote sustainable legal practices. That's a view of a farmers out there, but it will not. As I teach you, sir, MSP is officially on ground. It's been offered on wheat and ground. What about other crops? Other crops will not be grown because farmer is not getting incentive to grow that. Farmer is not getting incentive. He's getting an incentive to grow wheat and rice because he's getting an MSP for that. If other crops will not be grown, again, there will be a shortage of other crops in the market. That will lead to inflation because there is a shortage out there. It will lead to an inflation out in the market, especially for the common man out there. So, sir, why government, Ashish Kumar, sir, why government is not legalizing MSP? Because if they're gonna legalize it, it's again a burden on their budget out there. It's a revenue expenditure from the government part of government to some extent think, okay, at certain moment we will withdraw in phases out there. We will not withdraw at once. We will withdraw these subsidies at phases, slowly. But if if it's gonna be legalized, or if they make that MSP legalized, it will become extremely difficult to back out from that promise. And again, it's a vote bank politics out there. You don't want to lose votes out there. That's how thing works. Again, it's a burden. It's a complete burden on budget resources and on taxpayers' money, and again on taxpayers' money, because it's not adding anything. One of the major reasons why we criticize subsidies is that it's being offered to non-beneficiaries. It's being offered to non-beneficiaries. Lot of scholars says that, okay, beneficiaries, non-deserving or beneficiaries. Lot of scholars says that, okay, we don't have any problem if you're offering MSP to the small farmers out there. And sorry for the tech glitch out there. Let's resume our lecture out here. Let's resume where we have left. As I've told, sir, it's been a burden on taxpayers' money when you offer the subsidies out. It's been a burden out there. It's been a burden out there when you talk about the subsidies out there. So I hope you got this point. Again, sir, the point is, Simani Kumar, sir, I cannot understand English medium, sir. Sir, I can't do anything about this because I've been asked to give lecture in English. That's my job. Okay. But sir, the economy will grow. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Ashish Kumar, you can again ask your question in a bit of deep manner. Okay. I am more than happy to resolve your issues out there. So again, when it comes to MSP legalization, sir, it will lead to, one of the things has been that most of the subsidies are being offered to the large farmers. That's again, it's been offering to the non-beneficiaries out there. It's been offering to the non-beneficiaries out there. Because sir, the system is such that there has been a loopholes. There has been a lot of bottlenecks out there. A lot of people who are non-deserving out there, or non-beneficiary out there, they will get the benefit out of there as compared to those who deserve that. Because the system operates like that. That's one of the major criticisms of MSPs out there. So I hope you got these points. Out there. Again, arguments against MSP legalization, is exploitation risk. Sir, critics claim that the political motives could exploit farmers for vested interests. That could be. Because sir, that's the point. If you legalize something or MSP out there, a farmer will become a pro to you, will become a friend to you, government. It will become a great friend out there. So government can, of course, misutilize or misuse these political groups or farmers protesting group out there for their own benefit out there. Again, that's a political angle out there. You don't have to go in too much of detail. Another is the market disturbance. Of course, we have studied that market disturbance out there. Whenever you offer a subsidy out there, it will gonna reduce the production of other crops out there, and it will eventually lead to inflation. That's how it distorts market. Again, the infrastructure with the government is not that superior. The cover and pin system has its own limitations out there. That again leads to a lot of food wastage. I hope you got these points. How legalizing MSP can disturb our market. Can disturb our market. Can disturb a market. Can disturb a market. Okay. I hope you got all of these points out there. Now, political implications of MSP legalization. As you know, sir, power struggle. The issue of entangled in political power dynamics with parties leveraging voting blocks. Again, sir, it's everything is revolving around the vote bank politics. Government is doing everything to lure certain political groups, in order to get those votes, in order to get those friendly political parties that can support them in the bad times out there. So that's how thing works. This is nothing but conflict and appeasement thing. There has been a conflict, but both are trying to appease each other so that a work can be done. For example, I'm in a conflict with government, but at the same moment of time, I will try to persuade government to do certain things, to do everything out there to legalize MSP. So it's a conflict and appease out there. जिसे हिंदी में कहते हैं कि लड़ो फिर प्यार से बात करो. That's a conflict and appeasement policy. Conflict and appeasement policy out there. I hope you got these points out there. Potential reforms. There are discussion about the refining and revising existing MSP policies for transparency out there. So again, it's just a political motive out there. That's been going on. All these policies need to be considered. And of course, all these things like market distortion and subsidy, the revenue expenditure, the tussle between the political parties or the government and these political motive organizations out there that's been doing the protest for a long period of time right now. So it's all messed up out there, but a lot of solution need to be there, and that can only be done with what we call as a diplomacy. That can only be done what we call as a diplomacy out there. I hope you got this. Hello Ashish Kumar. If you have any doubt, you can ask about that. Okay. Again, sir, impact of MSP legalization on the agriculture sector. So one of the another impact that is very prominent of subsidies is that it will eventually, when you offer subsidies, so again, farmers will be encouraged to grow only wheat and rice out there. Eventually, it will lead to a practice of what we call as a monoculture. And again, monoculture is not sustainable agriculture practice, as you would have studied in geography, that there should be an NPK ratio of 4:2:1. That is nitrogen, phosphorus and potash out there. But if you're gonna sustain with monoculture, it's gonna reduce the quality of soil right there. Soil nutrients. It's a negative impact of MSP out there. Soil nutrients. I hope you got this point out there, that monoculture is not sustainable out there. Monoculture is completely not sustainable out there. But MSP is encouraging farmers to grow only 2 crops because they are getting MSP out of that. And that will lead to a monoculture which will impact the nutrient quality of a soil. It will hamper the NPK ratio that needs to be maintained at 4:2:1. So, sir, you told that they will legalize, then economy will go down. So there are no chances to legalize MSP. Of course, there are no chances to legalize MSP as of now. It looks like that. Because there are no chances for doing that. If they're going to legalize that, it will hamper their revenue expenditure. And again, government. See, for example, if government legalize that, so from where will they get money, all this stuff? They're going to increase taxes out there. That again will be non-sustainable out there. already middle class is paying so much of taxes out there in the economy. He is not satisfied with the government at this moment. So it's a loop out there, and it seems that government in near future will not legalize that, because for doing that, it will impact their budget and they will need to increase taxes out there, which again is a non-sustainable practice, out there. I hope your doubt is clear now. Okay. Any other thing? That's again environmental impact of MSP out there. Okay, no problem, Ashish Kumar, no problem. That's done. Now the conclusion. Of course, there's been community concerns out there. Farmers want income security. Farmers want a legal backing. But again, one of the major criticisms of MSP and subsidies that it's been given to the non-beneficiaries out there. Major chunk of MSP is being taken by the large farmers. That's again one of the criticisms out there. So again, there has been a lot of bottlenecks, loopholes out there in the system that government need to address before doing or going with any other formation out there. So MSPs, if you want MSP to be legalized, you need to ensure that you have a sustainable amount of resources in your hand without increasing taxes. MSP, for environmental concern, it's a disaster out there because it's leading to the monoculture practices out there. Again, it's been affecting the all NPK soil nutrient issue. But apart from this, how are you going to ensure that agriculture sustain over a period of time? Because it's not contributing enough. There has been a disguised unemployment out there as well. There has been disguised unemployment all over the agriculture out there. The productivity has been hampered to some extent. It's not contributed too much of GDP. How will you revamp this? They had a lot of issues. For example, there have been an issue of a corporate farming out there. Let eradicate the government out of there. Let's there be deal with the private sector and farmers out there. But again, it has its own sort of challenges. We'll consider in a later stages as well. Now there has been a problem with the small holdings. How will you ensure the economies of scale in a small holdings out there? Will there be any quality issue when we amalgamate a lot of small farmers out there? Because again, the land differs. The land is different for different farmers out there. Will there be standardization? Will there be homogenization of soils out there? That's another issue out there. Now there has been a lot of new practices in agriculture, zero budget natural farming, precision farming. Is that being there or deployed in India at this moment? Is that even sustainable out there with limited resources? Again, that question needs to be asked in the longer run. It's a very detailed topic. Pollution is a root of every problem. Ashish Kumar, I would say population is one of the root cause for every problem at this moment. It's some certain thing that population is one of the major reasons out there. 150 crore population out there, highest population in the world. There is not enough resources for everyone in this country out there. So that's how things works. I hope you like this lecture. Thanks for this, and good afternoon. I hope you love this. Keep subscribe to this and do comment about this, how you like to set this session out there. Thank you.